For this month, I was in my reading bag, mainly because I was trying to achieve my yearly reading goal, which is 104 books. But I did read 10 books for the month of October, and I want to tell you about them. So, yeah, I did some reading. I did some good reading this month. 10 books. A lot of them were audiobook, a couple of physical books, a couple of ebooks, but I have been traveling. Like, now I travel for work, so I spend not a lot of time in the car, but longer than I was before, so which allows me to listen to more audiobooks, and I love that for me. At first I was like really hesitant because I love having a physical copy of a book. Like, I love it so much, but I do have physical books. I have them like available, like if I really want to hold something. And that's kind of like what happened this month, where I just was really relaxed about it, took my time, and put a good dent into my reading goal for the year. I'm going to give you my stats for the month, and then we'll jump into the book reviews. I read 10 books this month, 1 DNF. I read a total of 3,752 pages, mostly on audiobook. I read 8 on audiobook, 1 physical book, and 1 ebook. 3 books were on my TBR, and 7 books were mood reads. I read mostly fantasy this month, mostly fantasy. Between fantasy and romantasy, I read that the most. A couple of romance, 1 nonfiction, cozy mystery, cozy fantasy, epic romance. So I was pretty scattered around, like, for my my genres, and then most of them I acquired on Libby. Let's hop right in with a reread. I started off the month with Ashes in the Star-Cursed King. This is a reread for me. It is by Carissa Broadbent, and I read it originally in March of this year, and I reread Service of the Wings of Night last month because I wanted to go into fall rereading all the books that I love, and that's one of the ones that I picked, along with Twilight, along with Harry Potter, and along with Sabriel, but and Hunger Games. I reread Hunger Games the month before, actually. I wanted to reread Service of the Wings of Night, and that kind of got me into the next book as well, because those books are duologies, and I really enjoyed the first one, and I was surprised that I wanted to reread the second one, because when I first read the second one, I did not like how it began, but after rereading the first one, like, it just kind of propelled me into reading the second one. Once I got into it, I was just like, oh, I'm so happy I did this. Like, I freaking love this book so much. So I ended up giving that book a 5-star, because for me, a 5-star is a book that I can read again, and I read it twice in a year, and that's literally the definition of a 5-star. Like I said, it's a second book in a duology. I can't really tell you about it because then I have to tell you about the plot, and I'm not trying to spoil, but it is such a good romantasy. The next book I read was Two Twisted Crowns by Rachel Gillig. So this is also a duology book, and this is the second book in the duology. This I classified as romantasy. The first story was very much about like the fantasy world and like kind of setting it up and like setting up the conflict, but the second book was more about the romance. Like, the romance was in jeopardy basically, and that is really what, I don't know, to me propelled the story. This was 437 pages. I rated this book a 4-star. It really surprised me that I liked it so much. I liked the unique magic system. I liked the unique characters, how the romance came together, how they solved their issues and moved forward. So I really enjoyed that. This one was also audiobook, and I consider this one a mood read. But I enjoyed this book. I would recommend it if you like fantasy. Read the first book, One Dog Window, and then obviously that will decide or determine whether you read the second one, but I do recommend both of them. They were very good. Next, I read my favorite book of the month, which was The Thursday Night Murder Club, or The Thursday Murder Club. Thursday Murder Club by Richard Osman. Suspense? Mystery? I don't know. Anyway, this was 382 pages, also on audiobook. 4 stars from me, 4.5 even. I can't wait to go into the next book. I just came up on my Libby, and I'm currently in the middle of a different book, and I can't wait to finish that book to get to the next book. Even though I really like the book that I'm reading, I'm so excited to read the next book in the Thursday Murder Club. So this book is about a group of basically senior citizens, and they live in a retirement community, and they solve cold cases. And then there's an actual case that comes up in the midst of their community, and they hop in to help solve it. So it was so good, especially coming from me. Like, I am a romance girly. I'm a fantasy girly. Reading mystery has never been my thing. I've never really wanted to until someone recommended me this book, and I was intrigued enough to start it, and I was hooked from the first chapter. I love a good audiobook that is the person who reads the story, the narrator, it has an accent, and I don't know why I love it so much, but I just enjoy hearing it, and that also makes hearing the story so much more exciting. So I loved this audiobook, and I definitely recommend you read it, especially if you like mystery. But even if if you're not sure if you like mystery, this is a cozy mystery. So there's so many laughs, there's so many funny things, so many things that just make you smile and really just gives that cozy vibe. Next, I read another TikTok favorite, which is Heartless Hunter. I feel like actually I read a lot of TikTok favorite books this month. Oh, I did. Yeah, or BookTok favorite books, popular BookTok books. I read a lot of them this month. So I read Heartless Hunter by Kristen. Yeah, I don't know. I really don't know how to say that, but it was 416 pages. Definitely a fantasy through and through. It does have romance, but the romance is not the center of the story. Actually, I feel like people do classify this as romance, but I do feel like it was a good 50-50. So we could give it romantasy, we could give it fantasy, but it was good. Another 4-star for the month. I had a good solid 4-star month. I don't know. I feel like almost to the point, like 4.75. Like, I feel like I almost could reread this book again. I think it really just depends on how soon the next book comes out. If I can, if I can remember, and like if I need to reread it, then it's automatically a 5-star, because it's just like I need to be in the world again before I go into the next book. Yeah, we'll see. But I enjoyed this story. It is also called The Crimson Moth, is another name of the book, but it is a story about witches, and they're hunted by basically the government doesn't want witches to be practicing, so witches are hunted down and killed, and the main character is a woman pretending to be a airhead so she can be a socialite and not be suspected to be a witch. Yeah, so pretty good story. I liked the story. I liked the twists and the turns and the excitement, the action. It was really good. So many interesting things happened in that book, and yeah, it gets a high rating for me. I feel like also it's one of those popular BookTok books that I feel like it actually lives up to the hype to me. Like, there are some of them that don't. This one does. I recommend that you read it just to see, just read the first couple chapters, and it will determine whether or not this is your type of fantasy. But it's good. The story was also unique. I haven't read a lot of witch stories, but it still, like, the plot itself was a unique plot, and then how it ended was also unique. I kind of seen it coming, kind of didn't. Like, it was like I kind of didn't want that to happen. It happened anyway, but it wasn't terrible. So yeah, it was good. It was a good book. Next, I read another BookTok favorite, which is Lark by Alex Astor. This book is 416 pages as well. This one's definitely fantasy. Love doesn't even come into play until the end of the book. There's like hints of like flirting and stuff like that, but yeah. And I think this is also YA. The one previously was YA. Heartless Hunter was definitely YA, because it was like closed door smut. Like, not closed door, but like there's no descriptive words in like the spicy scenes. So closed door is when it like alludes to it and it doesn't describe it, right? Yeah. But yeah, so Lark as well was like that. Like, not the spicy scenes where they were just tension filled, not very descriptive, but it still lent to the book and the story and the romance. And like, this book was really twisty. It was really like, all these things were happening and like things were changing and like you didn't know a lot. One of the reasons why I don't like reading YA is because usually the main character, who is the YA character, they are so set on the fact that they know best and they have everything figured out, and then literally at the end they get thrown so many loops. But this book, it was kind of like throughout the book the loops came, and so she kind of dealt with them, and then there was like one really big like, what, girl, didn't guess that. I knew something was wrong but I didn't know what it was. So this one was good. This one, I didn't even say what this was about. Lark. This was a very interesting magic system, almost like epic romance vibes, epic fantasy vibes, because the magic system was so broad and there's so many pieces to it. But basically there is a challenge every 100 years where people from different worlds have to come together and they have to complete the challenge. They don't really have to kill each other, but they can kill each other at some point if they don't want to keep each other around. But they all are going for the same goal, which is to complete the challenge, and the challenge itself will release the curses that are on their lands. That's the best I got for you. But it was really good. It was a single perspective book. I feel like I've been reading a lot of like dual perspective, dual POVs, and I liked both, but I liked this one as single perspective. And it moved. It had good fantasy, good action, good story, good plot. So definitely would recommend Lark as well. Yeah, and I also read Nightbane. So I read it later on in the month, but I did read Nightbane because I think I had to wait for it to come up on Libby. And I enjoyed that book as well. I also gave that one, I gave that one a 4-star as well. I would recommend. This second book has me anxious to read the third book. The way it ended was so good. The way it ended was so good. And I'm ready for the third book, but the third book comes out, I think, actually in November. This is another reason why November is the best month of the year. Great movies come out, great books come out. I just love November. It's also my birthday month, but there's that. Anyway, Lark and Nightbane, definitely recommend. If you enjoy trials with it without it being Hunger Games, I think there's like two types of trials. You get Hunger Games style trials, and then you get like just challenges, like just different feats and actions and adventures. And that to me was Lark was more of that, versus like Powerless and like Hunger Games is like specific trials, and like that's the whole story. So it was good. It was good. Next I read Barbarian Prize by Ruby Prize. Yeah, Barbarian Prize by Ruby Prize. Right? No, read Ruby Dixon. Okay. This is the physical book that I read this month. So I actually got this book from the library. So Barbarian Prize by Ruby Dixon. This is one of the Ice Planet Barbarian books. Ice Planet Barbarian books became pretty popular about 3 years ago, I think. Most of them are available on Kindle Unlimited, and they're just smutty romances, gotta be honest. That's what they are. But centered around aliens. That's all I got for you. So knowing that, I liked the story. I did not like the writing. It was very cheesy, but I did read the book. So that's all I have to say. I don't know if I would recommend. If you want your reading and you're reading to have substance, this is not the book for you. But if you're just reading for the romance, then read it. That's all I have to say. Next, I read Assistant to the Villain. So I read this book because of the book talk hype. Assistant to the Villain by Hannah Nicole, I think Mayer is her last name. 342 pages. This is a cozy fantasy. I was pleasantly surprised that it was a cozy fantasy. I have heard so many people talk about this book and never mention that there was magic in it. Never. So there's magic in it, and it's a cozy vibe. Like, it's fun, it's flirty, it's light, it's airy. It makes you laugh. It makes you cackle a little bit. Like, it makes you roll your eyes. Like, it's a cozy fantasy. I am shocked. I'm shocked. I don't know why, but I am. Well, I know why, because like I said, I've heard so many people talk about the book. No one mentioned it was a cozy fantasy. That's it. All they mentioned is the fact that it's assistant to the villain, a woman who gets a job as an assistant to the town villain, and she falls in love with him. Like, literally, that's all I hear. But this book has magic. So, because of that, I was intrigued, but I only gave this book a 3-star because I didn't like the ending. And I also it was almost too corny. So the writing style was like meh. And I also read this first book with the intention to also read the second book. But after finishing the first book, I don't think I'm going to read the second book. I think I said it was 342 pages, but yeah, it was just okay, to be honest. The next book I read was my book club book, which also was a DNF, but I consider myself reading the book because I read more than 50%, and that was Out of Office by A.H. Cunningham. Yep, A.H. Cunningham. So what I didn't like about this book, well, I don't recommend this book. I just feel so terrible, honestly, having to say that, like, and it's my book club book. If you don't know, I have a book club and it's called Coley's Cozy Corner, where we read about Black women being loved on. So if you're interested in that, I will link the book club down below. It is on Fable, and we do talk and chat, and I do stay pretty active on there, and engage with anyone that engages with me within the book club. I did not like this book, Out of Office. Like, it started off okay. I liked the premise or the idea of the book. So it's about a woman. She's kind of a workaholic. She's working towards a big goal, and then she just finishes, and she's like in like she's somewhere, Panama City maybe? I don't know. She's somewhere tropical, and she decides to stay for 2 weeks, have like a 2-week vacation, and she ends up having a fling with the guy there that she met. So the thing I didn't like about the book, one, the cover. Can we talk about how this is a book about a Black woman being loved on, and why does she look like she has nappy hair? Like, why? And like, the guy is like, he's so like, nice looking, and then you have her and her hair, and it's not cute. And I like, that really irritated me, and like, I really couldn't even look at the cover anymore because of that. But then also, I did not like the flow of the book. The plot was okay, but it wasn't like super interesting. The way the book came about, like, it just, I don't recommend. That's all I have to say. Also, I'm going to Black Romance Book Fest next year, 2025. And this is one of the authors that's there. And I have a goal to like read a book from each author that is going to be there. Right now, there's like 120 authors, by the way. So I'm slowly but surely making my way through the list. But I am just like, just because this book did not excite me at all. So there's that. Meh. It was meh. It was very meh. Then the last book that I read was a nonfiction. If you don't know, I don't rate nonfictions because they're usually just about what they're about. And this book was Kingdom Woman by Tony Evans and Crystal Evans. Tony Evans and Crystal Evans, which is his daughter. I know she has another last name, but apparently I didn't write it down. So this was 240 pages. Like I said, I don't rate it. I own this audiobook. I've actually bought it on Audible, and this was a mood read. So like I said, I don't rate nonfictions because they're usually just about what the book is about. And this book is this book specifically is about kingdom women and living a kingdom-driven life, living a life as a child of Christ. So I enjoyed this book. I do recommend it for if you are a Christian and you're looking for a book that kind of can encourage you, not just as a married woman, because I'm not married, but as a single woman. And it spoke to both women, and I did like that, that it spoke to both women. It also gave me like so much encouragement. It gave me like ideas and like my thoughts about like how I love God, changing them and like adapting a little bit more to being a child of the King. So I liked that. I liked that it like made me engaged and made me think and pushed me a little bit. So yeah, that is the last book of the month. So I read 10 books this month, and that's great. So I'm at 70, I think I'm at 75. I'm at 77 books out of my 104. I'll put my little Fable reading wrap up on the screen. I love the Fable app, but by the way, if you're a reader and you don't use this app and you use Goodreads, check out the Fable app. It's so much better than Goodreads. So much better. So I love it, and I love it here, and I love reading. Moving on to a new month of November, I'm not going to do a TBR just because I decided I was going to do my fall TBR, which includes rereads. I do want to finally reread Twilight this month. It's my birthday month, and I just feel like it's a great time to read this. I also just ordered ACOTAR. I have read ACOTAR. I read ACOTAR this year? Last year? End of the last year maybe? So I'm pretty new to the ACOTAR world, but I kind of loved it. So I may reread it, but I'm definitely rereading Twilight. But like I said, I don't have like a full TBR for the month of November. I just know that I want to reread some books that I love and that love me. So I just want to do that for my birthday month. I also am gonna go book shopping for my birthday. I'm very excited about it, to buy some books, or maybe buy some merch, so maybe some book merch, maybe just some books, we'll see, and get ready for the new year, which is obviously a couple months after my birthday, but still not a couple months, 1 month, because my birthday is kind of at the end of November. So I don't know, I'm feeling good. I'm feeling excited. I'm feeling looking forward to this month of reading. So thank you for watching this video. If you made it to the end, I love when people do this. If you made it to the end, leave this emoji. I love that. I love that because it lets me know you made it to the end, and you leave me a comment, and so I can comment back, and I love that. Also, let me know what you're reading and what you enjoyed for the month of October, and what you're gonna read for the month of November. You know, recommend me a book. That's it. That's all I got for you guys. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you in my next video.